The space, sometimes called the cosmic type, is what I call part of the trifecta of fan-made types. These are the three types that you pretty much always see in fan games or on theory modding that want to add new types to the game. These three types are light, sound, and cosmic. And if you've seen my last two videos, you probably know that I don't really like sound or light as a new type that can be added into Pokemon. However, you've read the thumbnail of this video, so you know that cosmic, in my opinion, is actually a good idea for a new type. There are two main reasons why I think this. The first of them is that space isn't really implemented into Pokemon that much, and the way that it is implemented lends itself to being changed quite easily. The second is that space just seems like it can be much more fleshed out than the concept of light or sound. These two are much more universal concepts, and I feel as though that holds them back from being types. One of my main issues with both the sound and the light types is that they exist across multiple different types. There are a lot of moves from a lot of different types that would really all have to be changed in order to make this a fully fleshed out type. As I pointed out earlier, I feel as though this is because these are concepts that are really general. Pretty much every animal or Pokemon can produce a sound. And I think that that's why a lot of these sound type moves would have been normal moves. The idea of space, however, is much more niche. It's mainly focused around a few types, and in particular, the psychic type. Space or cosmic, I'm going to mention both of them in this video. I'm just going to keep going between them, so be listening out. Is kind of already a type that exists in Pokemon, but as a subtype of the psychic type. When a Pokemon is space themed, they're typically given the psychic type as a way to show this, because there isn't a space type that currently exists. This happens a lot in Pokemon like Orbeetle, Beheeyem, the Sun and Moon Legends, Solrock and Lunatone, Starmie, and Deoxys. All of these are currently psychic types, but the only reason that they have the psychic type is in relation to the fact that they're from space. It isn't the same as Skeledirge, for example. Neither of Skeledirge's types are a substitute for a sound type. You'd have to get rid of one of them, and they both make sense, so if you were to add sound to it, you would have to make a compromise. The same can really be said for sound and light-based moves. As I previously mentioned, they often straddle types. When you take away the type variety that you get from these moves, I think that you're taking away personality from them. But if you added Cosmic to the small number of space-based moves that we already have, then to me that would add personality to them. What moves would I add? I feel as though the main two stab options should be Meteor Mash and Moonblast. I know that this kind of goes against the point that I've just made about how pretty much most of these space type moves would be entirely from Psychic, but these two moves fit too well. I also don't feel as though they would be too restricting on the types that we're taking them away from. Meteor Mash, as it stands, is already not the most widely distributed of moves, and most steel types have other moves like Iron Head or Bullet Punch that they can use. And as for Moonblast, I feel as though Dazzling Gleam could be buffed to something like 85 or 90 power to compensate for this loss for fairy types. There are also moves like Teleport, which I think would work better as a space move, as well as Cosmic Power, which just makes sense. Add into this moves like Comet Punch, Lunar Dance, and Moonlight, and then with some brand new moves, you can really have a fleshed out type. I feel as though I'm repeating this a lot, but sound and light are so generic. Cosmic feels much more like an element to me. While sound or light could be added on to a different element, Cosmic feels as though it's its own type that could really work. Pokemon has always flirted with the idea of aliens, and in Ultra Sun and Moon, you actually got to go to different dimensions, but I feel as though this would be such a good setting for a new Pokemon game. How cool would it be to have a Pokemon game where you explore space? As well as the psychic types I already mentioned, I'd also add in Clefable, Minior, both Dialga and Palkia. While I know that they represent these states of matter, I always hated their weird typings, and they would fit much better as the cosmic, almighty entities that they really are. As for how it would fit into the type chart, you have to have a bit of creative license. I feel as though the Cosmic type should hit super effective against two types, Fairy and Flying. Fairy to show the kind of magic versus science aspect of it, and Flying because a lot of Flying types propel themselves by flapping their wings, and that isn't possible in the vastness of space. Cosmic could be resisted by Ice and Grass. Ice because, well, it's already cold enough in space, so they're not really bothered, and as is tradition, I have to give Ice a new resistance, and because Grass represents living things and nature, and I feel as though this is a counterbalance to the Cosmic all-knowingness. Defensively, I feel as though Cosmic could resist Normal, Ground, and Flying moves. Normal because, well, average guys can't really fight a massive space monster. Ground because space is pretty far away from the ground, and Flying for the previous reason that I've already mentioned, the wings not working. As for weaknesses, I feel as though Poison and Grass would really work. Poison because if you haven't seen More of the Worlds, spoiler alert, but the aliens are defeated by diseases and bacteria. And Grass because I like the idea of the nature triumphing over aliens. Overall, I feel as though Cosmic is the most viable of the trifecta of types. It has the opportunity to be much more fleshed out and could really be implemented without having to absolutely uproot everything in the Pokemon world. What do you think? Also, if you've enjoyed this video, I hope that I've earned a like or a subscribe from you. Thank you.